Turn that damn juice off!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we have a fun-filled show for you today here on Remember Wednesday, presented by our friends over at Fayetteville Flyco. But we'll get into that as well as do a vibe check of the chat presented by our friends at Basis Health. We'll also have who our heavy hitters are, presented by HD Roofing and Construction. Do some hump day headlines presented by our friends at BetSaracen. Talk about basketball, talk about baseball, talk about everything that's going on here in the world. But fellas, it's a Wednesday, it's a hump day. How are the vibes today?
They exist. They aren't overly good, but they certainly aren't bad. I think that's kind of what you hope for when you get into the middle of the week like this. I do have a feeling of anticipation in my belly. You know, like we're waiting on some things. We're waiting on finality with Adou Thiero. We're waiting on this regional to get started on Friday. So there's a level of excitement for me. It's just deep down right now. And over the course of the next couple of days, it's going to come up and it'll show on my big smiling face. But I'd love to fast forward to Friday. That's for sure.
You know, maybe it's a good sign that I'm so aware of the fact that Arkansas' season could end this weekend. Because last year, this time going into the regional, obviously I knew, you know, it's a possibility, but really wasn't on my radar. I mean, you guys were around me a lot. Like I wasn't sitting here like, oh, are they going to make it out of this? I thought they had a good draw. And so maybe it's good that I'm hyper aware and super nervous already on Wednesday. I can't even imagine what my vibes are going to be like on Friday afternoon. Really more so Saturday. Saturday, I'm going to be a complete nervous wreck. But right now, I'm just trying to soak in the vibes of knowing that Arkansas season is still going on. And I'm not going to make it any more complicated than that.
It's honestly the best way to view it. And again, we're going to be having all the coverage of regional action here at in Fayetteville, Baum-Walker Stadium with Bombastic Podcast. We're actually going to be doing, as we talked about, all of our post-game shows there at Foghorns next to Baum. And another little addition, since it kind of makes sense, Inside Arkansas Live on Friday at noon will also be live at Foghorns because the game's at 2 p.m. and it would be not so fun for us to end the show at around 1:30-ish and then try to rush over there and find some parking and all that. So anyways, we're going to be live from there too. So if you're looking for some pregame action, place to have some lunch, go over to Foghorns. We'll be there, and we'll be there for postgame show as well. So got a lot of that going on. And I know that, I can't wait for Remember Wednesday because those are going to be fun. But as people can see from the title and everything, and it was at 10:59 tonight Central Time about Adou Thiero, if he's going to make that big decision. Listen, I feel like we've talked about it enough. I know Curtis certainly has, but I don't think anyone's feeling like he's going to come back. I don't think that's just going to be the case. But I honestly, truly believe, which I thought our discussion yesterday was really good, talking about kids that are staying in school rather than going to the NBA. Because of that fact, it's made people, whether they truly believe it or not, but it's made people be hopeful. Like, well, maybe, they can come in at the last second and offer him something. And then, if they got Yaxel coming back, if they got all these other guys coming back, maybe they could do it for Adou Thiero. So it's opened it up where it's like, hey, he's not coming back. Okay. Yeah. Sure. And we'll see. It almost gives that vibes for a lot of Razorback fans now where they're hopeful. They shouldn't be, but they're hopeful that maybe a miracle can happen in the final witching hour of Adou Thiero.
Yeah, and it's okay to feel that way. I mean, it's like the theme of the Pod the Palace today was, it can be unlikely here that Adou Thiero comes back, but him staying in the draft doesn't, just because he does, if that winds up happening, doesn't mean it was the best decision. I think there's some proof and an argument to be made for that, given some of the names that you just mentioned and some of the things that have been going on. A lot of guys in his position have opted to come back. So, what it all comes down to for me is, if Adou does stay in the draft, I really hope that people don't do the thing where they're like, well, it was stupid to even consider it. No, it wasn't, because you're seeing all these other guys do it. And that lends credence to at least having the thought or holding out hope for the possibility. Oh, it didn't make, it never would have worked. There was no fit. He never could have come. What would Trevin do? No, all that stuff's ridiculous. Like Alex Condon just went back to a front court that has more players than they know what to do with. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's an unlikely outcome, if it doesn't work out for you, it doesn't mean we have to act like it wouldn't have been a big deal if it would have happened, or that it wouldn't have made sense. That's kind of where I'm at with it. If he does shock the world, that would be something that just frankly doesn't happen to to folks around here in Arkansas. Like, we usually just do not get that kind of news. It would be sick. But I think the other part of the reason why people are so, just holding out until the very end, until you get some closure on it, is because one, Adou's a really good player. And two, it kind of stands out as if you're in that camp of, man, they're just like one piece away from really being over the top. This feels like it's your only slim chance of getting that piece, because they don't get Adou. I really, really highly doubt that they're going to add an impact player, maybe something to the end of the rotation or whatever, but nothing that's going to be on the same level as him.
Y'all know how we had all those media members whenever Carter announced he was coming back to Arkansas? They were like, see, told you. We're going to have a lot of that with Adou Thiero, where there's going to be like 20 comments that are like, see, guys, told you he wasn't coming back. You wasted your time, just like you're saying, Curtis, acting like it was ridiculous to have the conversation. But you're right. Like, this is certainly, and I think when you think about it from the Arkansas coaching staff perspective, they went into the offseason not really having Boogie Fland as a part of their plans. So when that news happened, we kind of knew that was a domino. But we didn't really expect them to come back. Carter Knox, the exact opposite. Every plan we've had for this roster in this offseason included Carter Knox. That's why it was so important to get him back. And whether this coaching staff is planning on Adou Thiero coming back or not, it's certainly a domino that we just need to get figured out before we can move on. And I think, Curtis, you've mentioned it a lot, that the coaching staff was kind of had contingencies in place in case Adou Thiero might want to come back to school. They need to make sure, without a doubt, 100% that he's not, which we will get that clarity here soon. And then I think for this coaching staff, then they can kind of move on to their next task, really figure out what they want to do. But I get the feeling that they probably haven't been able to look past this, because this is such a big domino. You got to make 1,000% sure he's not coming back to school before you move on, before you make any other backup plans. So I do think this is going to be important for the coaching staff as well to get that 100% for sure clarity.
Yeah, and I think it's important to as a coach, and it's not the exact same example, but I'll never forget when I talked with Peyton Stovall in baseball. He didn't go to LSU, and he was from Louisiana, and I remember that was a big shock to everybody. And I remember asking him, why'd you choose to Arkansas instead of LSU? And he said, well, when I was playing in high school and in Louisiana, LSU and the coaching staff just assumed I was going pro, so they stopped recruiting me. They stopped talking to me. And Dave Van Horn in Arkansas never stopped. They never stopped doing it. And so I felt like I was wanted. And that's kind of the important thing now, which I trust Cal is doing that. But just for any coach in general, because you just can't assume anymore. You can't assume, oh, well, he's going pro, so we're not even going to talk to him really much. Check in, saying, hey, man, good luck, whatever. Because now you have every school and coach and everybody that's going to be trying. And the last thing you want to do is have some sort of situation where a player is going pro or announces he's going pro, and you wish him good luck. You don't really talk much, but then suddenly you find out, hey, he's coming back to college and he's going to a different school. You're like, whoa, I thought you were going pro. Well, they wanted me, and you kind of stopped talking to me, and you didn't talk to me much, or stay in communication, whatever it is. I think that's another crucial thing, and another element of this is coaches, you just can't assume anymore. You can't assume that, oh, well, he's pro for sure. For sure. Not even going to ever even entertain another idea of going to college. No, because nowadays there's no guarantees of any of these players and what moves they're about to make. So I trust Cal's doing that, but I think it's something for a lot of other coaches to probably need to maintain and probably blow these guys up, even though they are staying. That coach, I'm done. I'm staying in the draft. They got to stay on top of it, man, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And at least like in a situation with Adou, at least we know that it's either he goes pro, and he's a draft pick and he's a pro hog and everything like that, or he just actually is a hog. Like, he's not doing the portal thing also like Boogie did. So like I can live with either outcome, and I think be just fine here. But yeah, like, it's been interesting to see some of these guys who are in that position. Like, I know Memphis, for example, with PJ Haggerty, like, cause he entered the portal and he's like, well, I'm not going to rule out Memphis or whatever. And they offered him $3 million off the jump. Memphis did, and said, hey, forget all that. Forget the combine stuff. Just come on back. He was convinced that he was going to get $4 million. And then they cut that bag by more than half, and they kind of moved on from him. And, then became a situation where, NC State was believed to be in the driver's seat there. And then Will Wade's like, dude, you're taking your freaking time here, but I can get Darian Williams to commit today. And so then he was left without a home there. And then now all of a sudden he's at Kansas State, and like he's making 2.5 or whatever it is, but just probably the third best scenario out there. So these guys are taking some risks too, But all these different coaching staffs, like John, you were talking about, they can operate in a certain, amount of capacities here. And Cal is a guy, and he's loyal to his guys. So he's helping families out there. So he's either going to help Adou get to the draft and get selected and be the next guy on that tally mark, family helped, or he's going to help him with a couple $1,000,000 to come back for 1 year and then see if he can do it again next year. That's where he's at. A lot of other coaches like, screw this, man. I can't play this limbo. I can't risk it. I got to go out here and replace you now. And if you come back, we'll figure it out then.
You guys are making a lot of sense. And I hope everyone's listening closely to what we're saying, because I can already tell there's some miscommunication going on, because people are like, gosh, he's staying in the draft. He's staying in the draft. We understand that it's not about the likelihood of whether he's coming back. Like both of you guys said, it's about putting yourself in the best position possible with some of these kids. Memphis, weirdly enough, tried to do that with Haggerty. Haggerty just didn't view it that way. But the thing is, you have to make 100% sure, and for a lot of those reasons, you can't run the risk of Adou Thiero coming back to school and going somewhere else. And that's something that, obviously, think about with the reaction to Boogie doing that. Imagine if that had happened with Adou Thiero, and you just don't want to be that school. So I think Arkansas did the exactly, has played their cards the right way possible. You want to put yourself in position. You want to support the guy. You want to let him know he has that option. You want to make sure those talented players know, we want you. You have a spot here. We have a lot of money for you. That's very clear. And then let him do whatever he does. It's going to be a win-win for Arkansas now at this point. And again, we can talk about backup options. We can talk about where they go from here, and we're going to do that. And Curtis has been doing that for weeks now. But I think if you look at it from Arkansas's perspective, they've handled this really well. They put themselves in a good spot. The fact that we're even having this conversation on June 28th is a sign that Arkansas has handled this well. And we wish the best of luck to Adou Thiero regardless. Because, again, the worst-case scenario now at this point is he goes and plays in the NBA, and he's another Cal guy, another family that's been helped. We get to, put his banner up as a pro hog, and we're all fine and dandy there. And so I think it's kind of crazy how dismissive everybody has been about just having this conversation.
Well, and I want to throw this in too as well, because I know we'll get to the chats and everything. And, this is something I'm sure everyone has thought about, especially in the chat and in the audience. But if, and it is a big if, but just say if the miracle upon miracles happens and Adou Thiero comes back, just that. I mean, how much of a jump, how much of an impact does that give y'all from where you feel now to where you feel if that actually happened about Arkansas? Does it make it go from being, a Sweet 16 to national championship? Does it make it just, a thing of like, all right, well, I was predicting 12 wins in the SEC. Now I'm thinking 14. Like, where does it put you if something crazy like that happened and Adou Thiero came back?
I mean, I look at Arkansas right now and I see him as a, top 10, 12-ish team, so it's hard to get a lot better than that. But yeah, that would send him over the top, because I will, like, I'll be one of those guys who looks at it and goes, yeah, like if everything works out perfectly and you stay healthy, like a lot of ifs, if, then man, this could be a Final Four type team. But I will feel like they're one piece away from being like I think a bona fide, national championship type of contender. Doesn't mean they can't get there, that they won't be. But I feel like they might have left just a little bit of meat on the bone. Adou Thiero would be, the meat, for lack of a better term there. I mean, he was your, leading scorer, leading rebounder. He would be right there in the discussion for, preseason SEC player of the year. Makes you better defensively, makes you better above the rim. I mean, it would be an incredible addition to the team that I really do think would have them I don't think they wouldn't be preseason number one. Like, that'll probably be Houston or Purdue. Florida's got a lot coming back, but they would be in that conversation. Like, they would, when people say, oh, here are the teams you could consider there, like Arkansas would be one of the teams that was mentioned in that discussion if they brought a guy like Adou Thiero back.
We would start having the conversation of how high is this ceiling? Like, what could this roster accomplish? Really, to me, what that would do is just bring a lot of stability to everything, because that's what Adou Thiero is, and that's what he represents, both with just his body type, his skill set. Like, he's got experience. We know the leadership and all that. We've already seen him do it. So it would just bring a lot of comfort, and you wouldn't have to ask some of these questions of, oh, do they have enough? Do they have enough? Who's going to start here? Who's going to start there? Think about what we do every offseason. Even a couple years ago. Oh, man. Caleb Battle's coming in. Could he average 12 points? Could he average 15? Could he average 18? Oh, Tremont Mark's coming in. What's he going to average? What's he going to do? With guys like Adou Thiero, even guys like Carter Knox, who we expect a big jump from, we can have some of that. But like with DJ Wagner, Trevin Brazil, Adou Thiero, Carter Knox, like all these guys that you're bringing back, think about how long has it been since Arkansas's had a roster like that where we really didn't have to ask a ton of questions leading up to the season. The only questions we'd be asking is how good can they be? And I also think about the regular season aspect. And one, I agree that they would be a top 5-ish preseason team. Why has Arkansas underachieved in the regular season all these years? Because they take 3 months to just figure out who's the guy, what's our rotation, who do we like the most, what's our starting five. Arkansas wouldn't have to ask all those questions, and hopefully they'd be able to keep everyone healthy so they could actually do 5-on-5 leading up to the season. But I think Arkansas would be set up for their most regular season success that we've seen at Arkansas in quite some time, and I think that's something we would all enjoy, and it would put them in such a more stable position to where you're not sitting there in March saying, oh, we need the best draw possible, because I think Arkansas will be set up to be a top 2 or 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. And we would certainly enjoy a season like that where there's just less controversy, less questions, less wondering what's going to happen. I think Adou Thiero would be like that piece that really removes any shadow of a doubt that this Arkansas team is going to be in that mix.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the what if game is fun, and it would be fun to see it back. And it'd just be weird seeing, of all the things, Arkansas as a basketball team having all of that retention, but also mixed it with the fact that it's John Calipari having all of that retention, like all in one. It just seems like it was a thing where none of us, or at least I didn't think that, going into last season, I'm like, all right, well, this guy and this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, you probably got 1 year for him. And then boom, it ends up being some sort of like crazy thing of like, oh, well, they're all coming back essentially, at least the majority of them that can. So that'll be fun. Again, want to reiterate, I don't think anyone is believing that Adou Thiero is going to be returning to Arkansas, but 10:59 tonight Central Time, you'll know for sure, or maybe even before then. But still, keeps everyone on and their options on their toes and all of that too.
I've been sitting here for 18 minutes and I keep wondering why people keep saying like he's gone. I'm like, man, are we saying anything otherwise? But now I'm looking at the title. And it's like, what will Adou Thiero decide to do? It's like people were just responding to that. Because for a minute, I was like, what the heck? Are we not saying that? I was like, am I crazy? Am I not getting the message across? I'm like, I got to work on the delivery here, man. But now I get it. It's like, all right, cool.
I was thinking the same thing, Curtis, because I was like, every time we'd get finished talking, I would like see just 7 more chats come in. They're like, hey guys, I think Adou Thiero is going to be a pro hog. They're like, yeah, no shit. It's like,
I was like, I agree. I think, I don't know what's going on, but okay. All right. I got it now.
Yeah. And some people in the chat too have brought this up, but as far as Mary Brown or Mari Brown, I believe, a kid that was at 5'10", 160 pounds, was added to the roster, looks like, from the 2025 class from Pennsylvania. So, yeah, he's a walk-on, by the way.
And shout out to Nick Pringle for breaking the news and putting that kid on blast on on Instagram. And then I know the folks over at the Discord immediately like, who is this? And went to his profile and he's got Razorback men's basketball in it. And you're able to start connecting the dots and stuff there. But yeah, I mean, we knew Arkansas was going to add some of those guys to the tail end of the roster like they did last year. And I look at Brown and listen, he's not going to play meaningful minutes for the Razorbacks, but that doesn't mean he can't have a meaningful role, in terms of helping with practice and everything like that. And these guys, I mean, last year, even those guys were hurt the entire year. You know what I mean? Like Melo Sanchez was hurt half the time and Cash was in and out and Kareem Watkins got hurt. I mean, it was one thing after another. So yeah, I mean, seriously, Lawson Blake. So just staying healthy and being able to be that consistent, person out there in practice who can give you different looks, who can do the scout team stuff. That's a big deal, to be able to have that. So, shout out to the guys on the Discord for doing the investigative journalism there and snooping this dude out last night. But hey, he had a D1 offer or two, for basketball, and he was a multi-sport guy. I know he played a lot of football. Seems like he's good buddies with Malik Thomas. And so that'll kind of help him maybe ease that transition a little bit and, having a familiar face there on campus and everything. So, cool. Yeah. Like nothing crazy. But they're going to add probably a couple more guys like that. And there's one of them. So now we know.
Curtis, is Kareem Watkins out of here? Is he done now? I would assume, right? Cause he was at Kentucky for like 9 years and then he was at Arkansas. You need that Kareem Watkins replacement. That's what
You
this
do.
is right here, right? I mean, you need that. Which, by the way, I say that jokingly. Like Kareem Watkins, like played actual minutes for Cal at Kentucky. But no, yeah, I agree with that. And from Pittsburgh, is there anybody else from Pittsburgh, that area, Curtis?
There is indeed, and in fact, he throws a lot of likes on Mr. Brown's posts. So you know,
I mean, just interesting.
but no, it's good to see that. You know, like you wanted news, you got news, right? And
Yep.
I was kind of wondering what that was going to look like. And you know, last year, you know, those and Cal calls them walk-ons, but they're not walk-on. I mean, I'm sure he'll be on scholarship, probably like those other guys. Just won't get all the chicken man money and everything like that, right? So it's interesting to see when these guys get added, because last year we didn't get a release about it until like July, but everything was also kind of pushed back a little bit with Cal, and you know, he didn't have his 9 guys until this time of the year or whatever. So there's that, and then he had to do the schedule and everything. So they filled out the roster a little bit later than normal. And so I did a show about it a couple of days ago, and it's like, I wonder if we're going to start hearing about these guys a little bit sooner this year, because ideally you'd have your entire team on campus, including the guys at the back end of the bench, as soon as possible, to kind of build those foundations and get everybody settled in and down with the roles and all that. So there you have it.
Well, and I also love the fact that when you brought up, you know, how they're walk-ons or whatever, it kind of remind me of what Dave Van Horn's like, hey, they're not backups, they're future starters. You know, it's kind of like the same thing. They're not walk-ons. They are keys to success in our game plan. You know, like then, hey, you're just going to be a body that does practices, but you know, whatever it takes to mold it around. It is important though. It's an important role there too. So, all right. So we'll have a lot of things to get into today. Again, we'll have a Remember Wednesday presented by our friends at Fayetteville Flyco. If you go to flyco.com, use code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. But let's go ahead and do a little vibe check of the chat. If I can find it, because our stupid StreamYard thing decided to change everything. But that's fine, because we're still going to make it happen. Basis Health is changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home, where a doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. Basis Health, they're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today, or you can scan that QR code up there at the top. All right, so getting into some of your chats. Let's see, Trenton just comes in, says, heard Adou got a guarantee second round. Sad face.
That shouldn't give you a sad face.
That would be a good news.
It was never in question that Adou Thiero would get drafted if he stayed in the draft. All of his projections have been late first, early second. You know what I mean? So there are guys who are first round locks who are going back to school. I don't know that a second round guarantee for Adou Thiero is going to be what's like, oh, I'm in for sure now. Depending on where that's at, I mean, he could very easily make more money coming back to college next season than he would with a second round guarantee. So and I'm not, like shaming you for saying that or anything like that. Maybe he very well does have that guarantee. But that doesn't mean what it used to, I guess what I'm saying. Like the game has kind of changed. And that's what we were talking about earlier in the show with like these guys who could be first round picks and, immediately go be on rosters on, playoff teams or whatever, who are like, nah, fam, I'm running it back at school and I'm going to make, $2.5-3 million for another year. And then I'll come back and try this again.
I mean, simply put, second round, that gives Arkansas, if that's the benchmark we're going off of, that gives Arkansas a benchmark to negotiate against, which they would very much be able to do. And I talked about it yesterday, but like the difference between a first round pick, a second round pick, and an undrafted free agent in the NBA, I know it doesn't sound like a lot because it's only 60 picks and you're like, oh, what's the difference between 28 and 34? A lot, It's when you're a first round pick, you pretty much are getting that league minimum guaranteed, that minimum of like whatever it is, like 2.8 million or whatever it is now. You're not going to be on a two-way contract, anything like that, unless something weird happens. Second round picks, the vast majority of them, I would say over half of second round picks, wind up not being on an NBA roster with a legitimate contract that year. Like you're most likely looking at a two-way deal. You're most likely looking at some time in the G League. And that's if you even, and there's no guarantee. There's a lot of second round picks who end up not even getting a two-way deal with the team that drafted them. So it's like the difference between late first and mid second round, completely different ball game. And so, again, I'm sure Adou still wants to start his pro career. We still expect that to be the decision, but a second round guarantee is not going to be the type of thing that's like a deal breaker where it's like, all right, Arkansas can't compete against a second round, like a 37th overall pick like that. That would still very much be in that decision territory. Ultimately, we'll see what Adou Thiero does, but I don't think second round is like a non-starter for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Corey Dub says, "Sup, y'all? It's my birthday today, and I got tickets to the regional. Can't wait." Well,
Hey, everybody's birthday's this week. What the hell is
Very
that?
cool.
I've seen like
Yeah.
30 people say that.
This is wild, man. First of all, happy birthday. Second of all, come find us.
Yeah.
Come to Foghorns after the game or before the game Friday, and come find us out there.
I think he said he has not been to a regional or super regional. Listen, it's a good time, man. I mean, obviously,
a blast.
Some of the best atmospheres we've ever seen at Baum Walker. The intro to the Bombastic podcast, fly ball, deep left. Like, that's a regional. It's a little bit different, man. And hopefully you're able to get that super regional trip. That's going to be the real crazy one. And hopefully Arkansas provides us with a super regional.
It would be a nice gesture if they did that. That's for sure. Let's see. Also, Hunter Ratio says, "I wish Kyle would have gone all out for some of these top guys. Even if they are asking for too much money, who cares if they want $5 million? If we have someone willing to pay it, we should be a top 5 team."
Yeah. And they might be, when it's all said and done in terms of being a top 5 team. It's the only thing about it here is like they just aren't getting as much buzz because they haven't done as much during portal season because they haven't had to, because they've gone all in on retention. They have more than most teams out there. They've got the really good freshmen coming in. So like it's been kind of a quiet portal season deal there. So when these other teams are making those big splashes or whatever out of the transfer portal, they get a little bit more of the buzz this time of year, but it doesn't take away from what Arkansas has in place here. I will say, like, to your point, I was real big for the longest on, hey, after they got Ewan and Pringle, like, all right, now go out and get you one more. The further along we get into it, though, I really feel like Adou would be your last hope. And the reason why I think it would make the most sense with him is because of the continuity and the familiarity that he has with everybody else. I don't know that you really need, hey, if they went out and got Jameer Watkins, cool, man. Like I'd be pumped for that. I'd be all for it. But I don't think you necessarily need that. What I think they need and what they could really use is, like a backup 4 to really solidify as that 9th man in the rotation, 10th man, like just the next guy up in there, just to where you're not leaving anything to chance. Because if you look at it, it's like, okay, you got 2 starting guards. Let's say it's, Acuff and DJ, and you got Malik Thomas. Cool. All right. You got 2 really good ones. You got one. All right, great. You've got Carter Knox and Billy Richmond as wings, and Isaiah Sealy, who I feel, hey, I like Sealy. I feel like he's a guy who's going to be better than people expect him to be. And then, you look at it and you're like, you could do the Pringle, Ewan, Trevin thing in the front court. But we know that that's 2 positions. And it's like, I get it with Kareem Rattel. So either he has to be ready to go right away, or you need to go out there and get somebody who is, and it doesn't have to be a superstar, but a capable body in there. And that's where I'm at right now. I think they need one more, and I don't think it has to be anything crazy. But I wouldn't be up. Like if they go get Watkins or freaking RJ Lewis or what the heck ever, then cool, man. Sign me up. I'm all for it.
I'm with you, Curtis. I'm looking for skill sets to round out the roster. I'm not looking to win the offseason. And I don't want to do the thing where I'm like, you know how when coaches, they're like, hey, we got our 5th-year senior to come back. That's the equivalent of a 5-star recruit. That's the equivalent of a whatever. That was our most important recruit. I hate to do that, but Carter Knox is that. You know what I mean? Like, he is about as valuable an asset as you can get. Arkansas ponied up and made sure he stayed in school. And that isn't viewed as a win for the program, but it should be. You know what I mean? Like, and he does fit that kind of criteria of like, hey, if you were just a blank slate building a college basketball program, if you could pick 20 guys to build your team around, Carter Knox would be in that list.
Well, I love this comment and from Ryan where he says, would love a Trey Wade type of player to fill that backup 4 spot. The reason I love this is because I want to do, this is some of the summer topics I always think about, but I'm like, I'd love to do a player that gets like, say, we need X player type of player on this team, because I feel like Trey Wade might be one of the most used ones. I know Jalen Tate, because I've done it. Jalen Tate might be one of those guys that gets used. And it can be for any sport, but I've just always thought about how funny it is. Like, we could really use this somewhat decent player at times, but had that really cool moment guy right here, right now, and that would make the difference. I just love it.
John, I'm glad you brought that up because, Curtis, to your point, you say you'd be kind of looking for someone to round out that rotation, give you that other four-man. Trey Wade, it's funny. If you look at his resume at Wichita State, when he committed, there was nobody that was jumping for joy like, oh, hell yeah, we got this dude. He averaged 5 and 3 at Wichita State. But he was the exact right piece that Arkansas needed. And so it's kind of funny that if Arkansas landed a guy with Trey Wade's resume from Wichita State, hell, even his resume from Arkansas, the fan base wouldn't be thrilled, but they probably should be. And I think that's actually like a perfect example that, like, sometimes you don't this is a Trey Biddy quote. Y'all ready for this one? Sometimes you don't get the player you want, but you get the player you need.
That's right. That's exactly right. You put Unc Wade on this roster right now, and I'd be all in on the Final Four stuff.
Some 3-point shooting, some versatility defensively, some communication, some leadership.
That's guy in the locker room who will, slap somebody in the mouth for getting out of line. It's
built like a brick shit house. I mean, that's what you want.
Right.
Yep. And able to shoot threes over 7-footers in the NCAA tournament. That would be huge if we had that. Let's see. Also, Homer Hogson says, why does the most questionable position on the roster have the least amount of competition? Good
question. And that's why I, keep beating down the door about a backup 4.
Yeah. Also, I like this because he said John too scared to tweet the tweet today. Yeah. And listen, it's gotten almost to the point to where the toxicity of my tweet of today's going to be an insane day, I may have to put it to rest. It just got to. It used to be just a funny thing I used to have out there, but now people just get in fights, and at some point in time, someone's going to get stabbed, and then people are going to look at me being like, "You're the one that caused it," and I just don't want to go down that road. So I may have to retire it. I'm sorry.
Unironically, very upset and very angry when John tweets that tweet. Like dead serious. They're not joking. They hop on the internet and they are mad online over John tweeting the same tweet every freaking day.
Yeah. Oh, it's still at least. I mean, yeah. But when John Rothstein does it, every day's a gift and stuff. No one cares, But when I do it, then it becomes a problem. Terrible. Let's see. Finch says, good day, fellas. Good to be back. Unfortunately, I had to miss the last 2 days, and my days felt empty. Same. But today I feel complete now that I'm back into the rhythm. Well, good. It's glad to have you back.
We actually considered canceling the last 2 shows.
True. But we decided to go through with it. So, but we're glad you're back, man. Hayden says, a beast. That's a first. I don't think we've been called that, but we'll take it. Who do y'all see as the glue guy of this current roster?
Can I answer this one?
Sure.
I think it's Billy Richmond in a few ways. One, because I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be asked to play like a few different spots. And I think he's a guy, he's the classic, like, you're not going to run offense for him type of glue guy. Weirdly enough, I think DJ Wagner are we allowed to say DJ Wagner is a glue guy?
He was going to be my answer.
Starting point guard. You know what I mean? Like, because he's going to be an impactful defender. And I think what DJ and Billy do around these other pieces, like a Knox, like an Acuff, like a Thomas, like a whoever, is going to be very important, almost as important as what those frontline pieces do. But DJ's probably overqualified to be a glue guy almost, right?
Probably so.
Yeah.
But he fits the criteria. It's weird. It's weird with him.
Well, and from a leadership standpoint, he's certainly the glue guy. You know what I mean? Like the guy that's going to have to connect all these pieces. He's going to be that floor general. I guess we're also describing a point guard.
Yeah, DJ meets all the criteria from a personality leadership standpoint, but might be overqualified, in his role on the team. Billy meets it from his role and what he brings to the table, but might not meet all the criteria from a vocal leadership and everything like that. So, he's got a little bit of growing up to do. I'm not saying anything bad about Billy, but in terms of, rallying the troops and everything, he's more of a by example guy, I would say, than like a voice in there, but that's also part of the maturation process.
Curtis, how much better would you feel about this roster if Billy Richmond just shot 3 threes a game at 35%?
Well, a lot better. I'd feel a lot better if they added Steph Curry, but
I didn't set the bar that high. I was like he's going to take a few and make a few.
I expect Billy Richmond to be a lot better. Like, I think he's going to take a leap and really jump on some radars there. I've seen a lot of people say the thing about him, suddenly becoming a good shooter. And I'm not sure if I'm seeing that. Maybe it's a Devo thing where he's knocking down those mid ranges, and then, eventually he'll have a semester where he really kills it from three. But he's just so freaking explosive, man, getting to the rim. That jumped out to me more than anything else when we were in San Francisco and at Providence, like being in those practices and being just underneath the rim trying to get some video. And all those other guys are just like taking contact from the pads, from the GAs, and trying to make layups or whatever, and they're being fancy with it. And Billy's just like running through guys and dunking on them. Just that, like, the explosive factor there was crazy with him.
Well, I want to add this real quick because I agree with you guys on the glue guys, but I am fascinated to see now that Carter Knox is coming back, what role as far as leadership or whatever it is that he's going to take on or that he chooses or whatever. Because again, looking at it through my lens, as a true freshman walking in where you're surrounded by other guys that were 5-star players, veterans, all of these things, it may be a little bit intimidating, or maybe you just kind of figure things out. Like, all right, well, I'm a freshman, I'm want to learn, but the jump between freshman and sophomore year, I'm wondering how he'll take that on. How will he be a guy that's like, all right, hey, I was here last year. All right, you were here last year. Let's, how, because he's a vocal guy. We know he's hilarious and he has a good time, and he's got that personality. So I'll be curious to see, does he stay the same personality wise within the team and within the group, or does he take on a different role? I'll be fascinated to see that. But then again, he only averaged 8 and 3, so he sucks according to Kentucky fans. So that's okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah, those guys are driving me nuts, man. Get a life. Like, worry about your own team. Good Lord.
I'm loving it. The fact that the guy last night tweeted at me was just like, yeah, Arkansas may have won the battle, but Kentucky won the war. And I'm like, what war? What are you talking about? We had a better regular season record. We had a better SEC record. Okay.
We beat more top 15 teams.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do we do?
I responded to the guy. I was like, dude, if John Calipari would be evaluated on the same scale that Mark Pope is, like, he went 10-8 in the SEC and got the shit beat out of him in the Sweet 16. Build him a statue, like, he'd still be there.
Yeah. Hang the banner. Yeah. Dude. Hang the banner. When I saw one of the things was he had more top 15 wins than anything else, I'm like, y'all are stretching this, man. Y'all are trying so hard to try and make it justified. Like, you know what? I really don't care about the amount of top 15 regular season wins. Could not care less than that. What'd you do in postseason? What'd you do with talent? What'd you do with everything else? What'd you do in the head-to-head matchup? I feel like that's kind of important. Maybe,
right.
You can't declare victory in the war if you get your ass whipped at home in the head-to-head matchup and you have the exact same postseason result.
Yeah.
You just can't declare victory. Well, look, Arkansas fans, I wouldn't say we're out here being like, hey, we won the war.
Yeah.
But if anyone did, it would be us, and we just don't talk about it because we're not nerds.
Yeah, it was really hilarious. I had to go on that little rant because that gave me some enjoyment and entertainment.
I'm looking at Billy's shooting splits because I was curious about this, and like, he shot 2 of 16 from 3. There's not a lot of volume there, obviously. But like, sometimes you'll look at free throw percentage, and because that can be a barometer on if a guy can develop a more of an outside shot. And he shot 73.2%, which is not bad for a freshman from the free throw line. But then looking at his mid-range percentage, 38, 16 of 42 on the middies there. So like, that wasn't even a real quality part of his game there. So I don't know. We'll see. Like, I'm sure he's going to get better, but how much from year 1 to year 2, I don't know. What I hope for him is that it's a bigger jump than like what Adou made. You know what I mean? Because Adou was he went from making like 6 threes to 10 threes or something. It was like, oh wow, and now he's really going to have a breakout, and it just didn't happen last year. So like, if we see Billy all of a sudden, if he hits even just like 15 to 20 threes next season and shoots around 30%, just even that is enough of a jump to where maybe you could talk yourself into more in the future. But some interesting stuff there with his numbers.
I think he's gonna go. He's gonna go like a Landis Harris and have like a third of his threes for the year in one game. Like, he's gonna have a 4 for 6 night only on the road at Ole Miss or something, and he's gonna shoot 26% for the season.
Yeah. Well, and I was curious too. Just trying to think back to a Razorback player that truly got, maybe that wasn't great at threes, that got better the next year or the year after or whatever. Because I feel like there's always examples of guys that were, I remember Mardrakus Wade hit like 49% of his threes in his sophomore year, and his junior year dropped pretty heavily.
Jalen Barford, he went for his junior year. I think he shot under 30%. And then I think he was like almost a 40% 3-point shooter. And of course, he shot a lot of off the dribble threes. So it's not like he just learned how to shoot. He just got better looks. But that's usually what happens is like, it's not like the guy became a massively great shooter. He took better shots. He got better looks. He was more confident. Billy, it's a little bit harder to sell because, like you said, Curtis, pretty much zero volume from three. A solid enough free throw shooter. But, yeah, if he were, like, really cashing those mid-ranges and you're like, okay, he's cashing mid-ranges and he's a pretty good free throw shooter, maybe he could step it back. But it is pretty tough. It's tough to go from that point to an actually good shooter. I would, like, really all I'm settling for is just, if teams have to close out on him. Like, that's really like all I would settle for is just like make one here and there just to show you can have teams not be able to just guard 5-on-4.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you can give him cushion, that takes away from his ability to get downhill. And if you have to at least respect it, he's going to blow by you for sure. I was also looking at the at Devo Davis and because his mid range numbers, and a lot of that's predicated on his freshman year. He shot it really well, and he would be the guy that would take like one dribble inside the 3-point line and make a 17-footer or whatever. But it went completely downhill after that. Like he was sub 36% his sophomore and junior years from the mid range. So,
well, I'll say this too because I know we'll get to some other things, but I laugh how sometimes where you talk about shooting and percentages and everything, certain players may get better, but then there's sometimes as players who didn't take a lot of threes suddenly start taking nothing but threes, and you're like, please stop. And that reminded me also of Cal. Remember, he was like, "Oh, we don't want Big Z, taking threes or whatever it was." He's like, and then all of a sudden he's hitting his threes. Like, okay, well, maybe you need to start taking a few more threes. So I wonder if that'll happen this year, where Cal will be like, "Oh, this guy probably doesn't need to be taking a lot of threes," and then they hit some. It's like, all right, so start taking your threes.
Hey, remember Wednesday? Remember when there were a bunch of think pieces on the Big Z 3-point shooting thing?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I remember the Big Z where sometimes he'd look like he was Steph Curry out there hitting his threes, and then other times it just, what was it? The Auburn game, he went 0 for 10, I think, something like that. And when we were there, Curtis, and then
that was a clinic.
But what was the game that he actually ended up winning for Arkansas? Was it not Mississippi State? Was it LSU at home? I think like he was the only one that hit shots at all.
He went for like 28 against Alabama that one time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Missouri. I think was it Missouri that he went? Was the Missouri the game after the 0 for 9 or whatever?
Yeah, they came back from Auburn, and I think they played Missouri at home because we were very much like, they really got to win this one.
And they did.
If I had a nickel for every time I had to, that we had to say that last season, the race station, man, they really need to win this game. They really need to win this game. It just
Arkansas went like 7-2 in must-win games last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So it was the LSU game for him because Arkansas won by 12, but he scored 25 points, 10 of 13 from the field in 28 minutes. So yeah, that was big. Yeah. 27 in that game. And then, Missouri at home, he had 20 points. So he had a few 20-point games there too. So, but anyways, just wanted to remember that on a Remember Wednesday and bring that up as well. Let's see. I tell you what, we'll have some other things to get into here on the show today. We'll get to your chats, continue to get to your chats here on the show. I'm sorry. I'm going to rant about it again. StreamYard is really screwing me up because I'm trying to get these little graphics and just leave things alone. Can we just do that? Just leave them alone. Leave them the way they were.
Mine hasn't updated. Which background you want?
No, it's okay. It's like, it's just a matter of I have to squint in there to try to figure out, okay, well, which one's which. So anyways, no, I got it here now, but still, it's just really frustrating. Either way, I wanted to bring this up here as part of Remember Wednesday, and it's presented by our friends with the Alumni Hall question of the day. Alumni Hall. We're going to be there next Friday at noon for the Super Regionals. That's where we're going to be at Alumni Hall. So we'll do a live show there. So come hang out, get geared up. For those of you going to be heading to the regionals this weekend, stop by their store there at 3417 North College Avenue. Use that promo code HOGSBY20, get 20% off. They got everything in stock, ready for you. Make it happen with Alumni Hall. So shifting gears a little bit and mixing it with the Remember Wednesday, guys, I simply asked, of these regionals I listed, these regional moments I listed for the Razorback baseball team. The reason I specifically said that is because someone would be like, well, how could you not list this one? And whatever. Anyways, of these moments, which is the most memorable regional moment for the Razorback baseball team? The ones that were thrown out there, of course, was just more recently, but the Charlie Welch home run, I think that was a big one that people probably remembered and enjoyed there against Nebraska. Jalen Battles deep into the night, grand slam against Oklahoma State. Hagen Smith striking out Rock Reggio in that epic moment, or going all the way back, 2004 Brady Toops grand slam home run against Wichita State. I know 2004 was a ways back. I mean, we were just young lads at that point. But Andrew maybe had a twinkle in his dad's eye at that stage, but still, one that you think of all those four.
Swimming at that point, John.
Yeah, it's like, of all those ones that you think of, which one comes to mind though first, of all those moments?
Like being honest here, it would be easy to say Charlie Welch, and I've talked about that several times. And it was the year that I was covering the team on the beat, and I was there, and there were so many things about that were awesome. But I'm not gonna lie. It's Battles for me. Just something about that call. I'll never forget that moment. And the dude freaking out about, oh no. And it's just like, this is absolutely phenomenal. So like the Welch thing holds a special place in my heart, but I gotta go with Battles into the night, man. I'm just being honest.
John, do you happen to know that guy's name? I should, because he's called games for us. I need to reach out to him because I actually want to get him on the Bombastic podcast to just talk about that regional. I thought he did an awesome job. I know he was polarizing. Hog fans hate any commentator. Nobody ever called a game that Hog fans have been like, wow, that guy did a good job on the call. I thought he did a great job. And again, that call is a big reason. Of course, it was a big home run. I mean, he hit a grand slam to seal up what was game 2 of a regional. Like, that's a big deal. But that call made it, man. And Welch, I think that moment speaks for itself. I mean, that moment, that clip went so viral because again, it was post-COVID. All these big accounts were just like, they were like finding out. Because I think there were a lot, like I remember Barstool being like, yo, we didn't know college baseball existed like that. They're treating this like a football game. I remember Dave Portnoy saying that. He's like, dude, Hog fans, I love how they suck at football. And they're just like acting like this baseball game is a football game. And I'm like, yeah, that is what they do. So obviously I think all the moments are great. And like, we're going to remember them all. Personally, though, like I'm not trying to be dramatic when I say this. I don't know if I would be here today, and I don't mean here in my house in Farmington. I mean like just covering the team, having a baseball podcast. If it weren't for that Brady Toops moment, because it was such a memorable like crossroads in my life. Like it was the first baseball season I ever watched with Arkansas baseball, and so they ended up going to Omaha, which I remember being like they went 0-2 in Omaha, and I was like thrilled. I was like, I'm just glad we were here. This is awesome. I can't believe I get to watch my team on ESPN, but the regional was not on TV. And this is before the network days for all you kids out there. I remember my dad was in the living room and he was reading a book, and my dad is always so nervous during games. He was just like, let me know if we win or lose. Like I can't keep up with it. Like I'm too nervous. And I just I would go to the computer room and I'd be listening to Chuck Barrett's call, and I'd hear a call. I'd be like, all right, we got 2 on in the 7th inning order. And I just like running back and forth to tell my dad. And so whenever I listened to Chuck's call, like I was just like, oh my God. Cause like, I couldn't see it. I was literally just listening. This is how long ago this was. And it was just such an exciting moment. I guess I would have been 7 years old in 2004. And so it was like a very big moment in me, like falling in love with the Razorbacks. And I don't want to say like that I wouldn't have ever gotten into this business, but that that's one I can see, hear, and feel that moment. And it's very special to me personally. And I'm sure it is to tons of Hog fans. I mean, that was kind of the beginning of the DVH era.
Yeah, no, I was lucky enough to be at, I guess, all 4 of those moments. And the 04 one was crazy because that was one of the first baseball games I remember going to, and it was a big one. So I think that as far as that one putting a lot of people like you, Andrew, on the baseball map for Arkansas baseball, I think a lot of people will look at that. So we're going to be all over the place because maybe these were good choices. To me, it's the Hagen Smith strikeout. And here is why. If you say it's something else, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to argue with it, but here's why it is for me. Because guys, and I mean this, I have never been more stressed out and anxious for an at bat than I was in that moment for like, dude, I don't know what's this could be it right here, because you had this guy, Rock Reggio, who had been busting you and batting over 500 in the regional. You had a true freshman, Hagen Smith. Bases were juiced. They were loaded. Everything's on the line. And it was so stressful. And when he blew him away swinging, man, that was like just a holy crap moment. I mean, all of them were great, but that one will always stick out to me because I remember almost like fainted after he struck him out because I was just so like balled up, didn't really know what was going to happen. And then boom, it did. So that one to me was, just me personally, was a lot more memorable.
Curtis, you remember where you and I were for that moment?
We're posted up at Smitty's, bro.
Posted up at Smitty's, bro.
That was
good stuff right there.
Night.
I mean, I'll tell you, like the context of Rock Reggio and what he had been doing to Arkansas pitching, really everybody's pitching that weekend, certainly makes that moment big. And you know what I always think about with that moment? Y'all remember after the game when Dave was giving a speech to the team and he was like, I told you guys that Hagen Smith, he's got the stuff. He's got the stuff for this job or whatever. Dave is all big about who's going to do the job. You know, who's going to step up and do the job? And he's like, and he's got the stuff to do the job. But I remember Dave said that the night before, of course, they had lost. I can't remember what the final score was, but they lost the game to force that regional final game 7. And he basically just like talked to the pitchers and he was like, look, we're going to need everybody tomorrow morning. He's like, let me know what you can give me. And we're going to operate like it's all hands on deck. Like, just let me know however many pitches, however many innings you think you got. And I remember Dave saying that Hagen texted Dave and like that night and was like, dude, my arm feels great. I know I didn't pitch well the other day, but like I can give you whatever you need tomorrow. And for Hagen Smith, who's not the most enthusiastic personality, he's not the biggest like rah-rah guy. For him to go out of his way to text Dave tells you how much he wanted to be in that moment, how much he wanted to pitch as a freshman. And you know, that's when a boy became a man right there, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, man, that was intense. I love that moment. And here's the thing too, going back to it real quick, Andrew, Curtis, what was the key to that regional and what really helped Arkansas win that regional in Stillwater? Arkansas won game 2.
Yeah.
Right there. I mean, I continue to point to it. Game 2 is everything in those regionals, man. It's everything. So
that was epic. Like that's my kind of just homer after homer, run after run after run after run. Who else was in there?
So you had Oklahoma State was obviously the host. You had
Missouri State.
Missouri State, I remember. You know what's crazy? We don't talk about that much. Missouri State blew a 10-0 lead.
Yes,
in an elimination game. Arkansas almost had Missouri State in that regional final, and Grand Canyon, who had who, by the way, their shortstop from that Grand Canyon team, he got drafted like top 7. He's in the big leagues right now, and he's like he's tearing it up. They had a really good team, that Grand Canyon team. We ended up giving them Zach Gregory, which is nice.
Yeah,
that was a really electric
launch pad, man. It was absolutely insane. Really fun watches.
Yeah,
and there was only like 4,000 fans there to watch it too. That's what was funny about it.
Well, they had to go to softball too, Andrew. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I can't forget that.
In OKC, so far away from Stillwater.
Jeez, yeah, that got so annoying so quickly. Yeah, I was gonna see if I can find it real quick. Since we were talking about it. Yeah, Grand Canyon. I don't know if you mentioned that, but yeah, Grand Canyon was the other one that because what was the player that ended up going to Grand Canyon from Arkansas?
Zach Gregory.
Okay.
I guess it would have been the next year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so yeah, I was going to try to find, because I remember again being there in Stillwater and seeing the scores to all these games. Like, okay, yeah, I'll read them off real quick. Arkansas beat Grand Canyon 7-1. Oklahoma State beat Missouri State 10-5. Missouri State beat Grand Canyon 8-7. Arkansas beat Oklahoma State 20-12 in game 2.
That was a blast.
20-12. Oklahoma State beat Missouri State 29-15. And then Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State won 14-10 in 10 innings. And then the final, the greatest, highest scoring game of all. Actually, it wasn't at all. 7-3 Arkansas won. But yeah, I just remember.
That was like the ultimate. I love when that happens. And that happens in baseball a lot, where it's like you get to Sunday or you get to the series finale. Nobody has any pitching left, but somehow it ends up being a 3-2 game. And you're just like, it just doesn't make sense. Zach Morris made his first career start in that regional final,
Zach
which
Morris
was crazy. Cole Ramage had a few big innings in that one as well. Michael Turner backpicked a guy at first base. Like there was a lot of it was a full-on baseball regional. Like that final game was just like well played baseball, which is funny because it really wasn't like that for the most of the regional, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was just looking at the pitching for that game for Arkansas. Zach Morris. Is that playing right now?
What are you talking about?
Is there something playing for y'all right now?
No.
Okay. Sorry. An automatic video played on this thing I was sitting at and it started screaming at me. And I was like, what is happening? Okay.
No, we couldn't hear a thing.
Okay, good. So, yeah, it'll just be me tripping balls. But I was just looking at it because he had Cole Ramage. I forgot Zebulon Vermillion came into that game as well.
He gave up an absolute BB to left field that got caught.
Yep. And what's funny is he gave up a hit in that one. And then Hagen Smith closed it out, as we talked about. So anyways,
I think he came in with, I think it might've been bases loaded, 1 out or something like that when Hagen Smith came in, or no outs. Like they threw him to the fire for sure, man.
Yeah. And I guess I should have done this too. The people voted what the fans actually said in their vote. Not surprising. 46% of you said Charlie Welch's home run against Nebraska. 25% of you said Jalen Battles deep into the night. 17% of you said Hagen Smith, and 12.5% of you said Brady Toops grand slam.
It's crazy the disrespect, and obviously it's just like a lot of that's 21 years ago. I feel like that Brady Toops home run's like the biggest moment in program history. Like I really do think it's like a very big turning point for the program. If they don't go to Omaha that year, it maybe changes everything. They would have gotten eliminated. Also, the Brady Toops home run, 1,000% would not have been a home run with the bats they use today.
No,
that was back in the day where you could hit 183 off the bat and it would go 420. It was like it did not matter. It was like oppo and barely snuck over the fence. Like there's no way it'd be like a base hit to shallow left center in today's game.
Yeah, and I was also that was the day I found out how stupid it was that hey, we're the home team, but why are we playing as the road team today? Like that was when I found that out as a kid. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why are we the road team? It's in our home stadium. Well, it's because NCAA is stupid like that, and they want to make that happen. So, good looking back on it. So let's go ahead and jump into, of course, one of our great segments here on a Wednesday. Who our heavy hitter is, presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. Storms can hit. We know that Arkansas has gotten hit across the state with some storms here in the past month, and maybe some of you are not sure exactly what the condition is of your roof. We'll have HD Roof and Construction check it out and give you that peace of mind with a free inspection. When you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on that professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all your roofing needs. You can check them out today by calling 501-428-0429 or visiting their website at hdarkansas.com. All right, so for our heavy hitters today, I'm going to go ahead and do this ridiculous one that is not sports related whatsoever. But have you guys ever heard of the Cheese Rolling Festival?
Oh, yeah. I learned about this yesterday.
Dude, this is insane. It's a cheese rolling festival in England where they roll a thing of cheese down a hill and everybody chases it. And it's gnarly.
Chaos, bro.
Dude, and I will say, luckily, there wasn't any major injuries to this, but I just want to play this video because it is... Well, I'll just have you guys check it out. I'll play this first one, and then we'll get to the second one because a guy goes flying. But this is...
Oh my God!
Jeez.
Oh my God!
See, this is the epitome of humanity. You know, we do these things. But this other video too, I just want to show another view of this guy that went flying. This is the best view of it.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person.
Like, without the audio. But look at that. Just flies, man.
Dude, I think a few people have lost their lives. I watched a lot of those videos. They catch that steam and they think it's a game. I mean,
yes,
you have no control over where you land. Like, obviously, if you fall from any distance, you can kind of prep yourself. When you flip like that, you don't really have any control over if you land on your head or your neck or like what. That's crazy.
It's like that guy looks like he got shot out of a cannon, just from flying, man. That was, anyways. Those guys, they're my heavy hitters because they're idiots for doing that. But, they deserve a lot of respect because they put it out on the line just to make sure that they chase down that wheel of cheese. And so there we go.
Gosh, man. I what would it take? What would need to be rolling down that hill for you guys to chase it?
Sydney Sweeney.
Wow. I think Arkansas not shitting the bed in their own regional.
Okay.
If that was what lied below, I think I would do it.
Like if it was a College World Series ring and like rolling down the hill, you'd go and get it.
I do like cheese, but not that much, man. That's insane. It's crazy.
What's the go-to cheese? Y'all's number one cheese power ranking. Number one.
I'm a pepper jack guy. I'll put it on anything.
It's hard to go against a good sharp cheddar.
Good.
But I don't know.
We get weird around here. I'm not a Swiss cheese fan at all.
Okay, I love Swiss cheese. That was going to be like one of my top 3. Honestly, I love Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I don't like it, man. But I mess with anything else. A Gouda, a Munster. Not afraid of it.
What about Brie?
I like Brie.
Brie Ellis.
She's great.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, I love
heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Wow, come on now.
I was going to say I'm a fan of the pepper jack deal. Colby Jack as well is something I go with. But it's one that I used to like as a kid, but I just don't really have much love for it anymore is American cheese. Like I think I just expounded my palate and I'm like, you know what, this is actually not that great. So yeah.
Feels fake.
Yeah. It's like
the only time you can have it is if it's like on a burger, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like it's like the only context in which it's good.
Or like mac and cheese, if it's American cheese that you're like that, maybe.
But you got to have other cheeses in there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's so anyways. All right. I know everyone came for our cheese talk, but that was my heavy hitter. So yeah, try to top that one.
Yeah. Well, I can't. That's as good as it gets. I got a couple. JJ Andrews has been a heavy hitter on this program and the Pot the Palette several times, but just finally getting a little bit of the respect he deserves. Shout out to 24/7 Sports, the only site that does rankings that knows what they're doing for understanding the assignment. Move JJ up from 42nd to 17th. Major bump for him. And so he's right on that borderline of a 5-star right now. And he deserves it, man, with the way that he's been playing. So that's very, very cool. Some awesome words from Travis Branham about just how well he's been playing and just dominating the EYBL out there. And so that puts him in a great position because now you look at, and I love this, Andrew, because we talked about it when we did the live reaction to JJ committing about like, hey, it's not outside the realm of possibility that he could, work his way into 5-star status or into those McDonald's All-American conversations. And he's right there in the thick of that now. And man, he belongs. He looks like a man amongst boys out there and just really been playing well. I'm more and more excited about that pickup for Arkansas literally every single day. And then the other one quickly, and this, heavy hitter, I'm going to give it to him because he's just been like it feels like an almost Razorback in our heart for, years. Jameer Watkins staying in the draft officially, not coming back to college in the transfer portal, famously visited Arkansas with Caleb Battle, and they chose to take Jeremiah Davenport instead of him. He went to Florida State, balled out, hit the portal again, and Arkansas fans were just automatically, and I was too, like, hey, get him this time around. Nope, not happening. A guy that we've talked about a ton, so maybe we need to pour one out for the man. But good luck to him in his endeavors. I hope that he actually gets drafted. Either way, he's probably going to spend a lot of time in the G League, but hey, he's getting ready to turn like 25 years old. So you got to do what you got to do, brother. Good luck to him.
Yeah, Curtis had a lot of takes that age like wine immediately. Like it's rare that you get a take that ages well, like 3 days after the fact, but he nailed all the JJ Andrews and how there was a good chance for him to. He was like, he's been balling. I feel like he'll move up. Curtis, you think Missouri is like, thank God we didn't offer him that deal that was like incentive based on your ranking, which immediately jumped up and is going to jump up in all these other ones. That's some funny stuff. I have 3.
Okay.
1, Brie Ellis, D1 baseball or D1 softball player of the year, USA baseball softball player of the year. I keep saying baseball. USA softball player of the year. I'm sure there's 7 more player of the year awards that she's going to win. It was good to see her get to fly out there, get her recognition, bring back her trophy. Obviously, we're still licking our wounds and all that. We're still sad, but got to celebrate the best season in school history by a long shot. I didn't realize pitchers never win this award. Like I think they said she's like only the 5th pitcher since 2002 to win.
Really?
Fifth non-pitcher since 2002 to win.
I thought
see,
yeah, she was a pitcher. Okay, that's crazy.
No way.
But yeah. Sorry, what did I do? Position players never win it, is what I meant. Sorry. Sorry, I thought I cut out for a second. My screen was going weird. Am I good?
It's
You're good,
going weird. You're good now, I think.
What happened?
It just froze for a little bit, but you're good. We heard everything though.
Okay. Well, I'm about to have to sprint upstairs and go get my laptop charger. So after I do this, I'm going to go get that. I think it went from high power mode to low power mode. And I'm going to go get that in a second. But my other two, Tyrese Halliburton. We talk to NBA a lot. We give NBA heavy hitters a good bit. Tyrese Halliburton, did y'all see his stat line last night? 32 points. I think it was 13 rebounds, 15 assists, 0 turnovers.
Crazy.
0 turnovers is unreal. They go up 3-1 now on the Knicks. It seems like they're going to wrap that series up here soon. Shout out to the Pacers, man. I was not a believer. I am very much a believer now.
They let Dad back in the building too.
Yep.
Yeah. That's big time stuff. John, I need you to make it where I can show this video large. It's just a quick. This is my third heavy hitter.
Shout out G baby.
That would be Rocco Pepe with cornrows.
Wow.
Some things never change. All right. What did he just shoot something? Like just whatever?
Yeah, I couldn't tell. There was some type of thing in the distance there. I don't know if he hit it, if I'm being honest with you.
Like,
Let me play it again. Did it look like he hit anything?
Shout out G baby.
I don't think he's hitting anything.
he may not even shot a bullet. It may have just been a blank for all we know. Like what?
Why did he shout out G baby?
Maybe that's who he was listening to, was G Herbo, maybe. I have no idea.
Man. Well, good to know he's still doing well. His Instagram handle is Kid Juicy Juice.
Yeah. He's handling the losing the position battle to Reese Robinette well. But he's got his postseason locks on, man. That's good.
Looks good. Yeah.
Dude, just man, that's something, because I'll never forget talking with Peyton Stovall about him and everything during that time, because Stovall in Arkansas was very not that, and I was like, oh man, they probably hate this guy. Stovall's like, man, we're actually really good friends. It's just what he does. He plays the game differently, but we're all good. So, well, good to know he's still flying high and doing well, and still missing the swings, missing the bullets, missing the target there.
Is it? Yeah, well, is it fair to call Brian Kelly a heavy hitter?
I was going to bring this.
He's not ducking smoke. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's fair. It's fair.
I did not. I have no idea what y'all are referencing.
Well, they're at the SEC meetings down there in Destin, and so we're getting these random quotes that come out from every coach. And Brian Kelly, he's the one going viral right now because he said, "Hey, we want to play 9 SEC games plus a guaranteed game against the Big Ten every year." That's what he thinks the league needs to do. So not only does he want to add another SEC game to the slate, because a lot are like, oh, well, if we play 9 SEC games, then maybe they should just do like the 3, Joe Schmoes or whatever to round out the schedule. He's like, no, we want to get into that alliance thing with the Big Ten also. So just 10 bangers every year.
Okay. Well, hey, listen. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is actually a perfect segue, because there's some stuff surrounding that.
Yes.
I want to dive into. So it's presented with our Hump Day headlines, presented by our friends at BetSaracen. Download the BetSaracen app today on your iPhone or on your Android. It's the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas for a reason. And you can also go to BetSaracen.com. They got all the specials, all the odds, everything going on for Arkansas, for the regionals, for everything. College World Series futures, they have it. Check it out today with BetSaracen. So there are a few things from SEC meetings in Destin that are coming out. We mentioned a little bit yesterday about Greg Sankey getting all pissed off and whatnot. But it's kind of talking about the SEC coaches. This comes from Brandon Marceau. This was the tweet he had. He said, SEC coaches want to work out a scheduling partnership with the Big Ten that would give each SEC team one non-conference game against the Big Ten. So I guess it would be kind of like its own little challenge, if you would, coming from that.
I like that. I mean, I have no problem with that actually whatsoever. It's not my job that's on the line. In fact, that would be great for us and in business, to sub out an Alabama A&M for, Penn State or something. But I mean, think about the possibilities there. There are very few, Big Ten schools that Arkansas could put on the schedule that I'd be bummed about.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what would be the most boring, terrible, because even Rutgers is funny. It's a funny
Rutgers
thing.
is funny. Northwestern would kind of be like,
yeah,
what are we doing?
Maybe the Chicago angle would be something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Because if they played Oregon or UCLA or USC, that'd be wild.
Yep.
Penn State, of course, would be something.
Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah.
That'd be the first one we get.
Burt. Get Burt back. What about Nebraska? I think that would be random.
It would be random, but it would be pretty sick because it's not really regional, but how can I say this without pissing off Arkansas fans? We're a lot alike. Arkansas and Nebraska, just in terms of like the only show in town. Yeah, exactly. Like the rabid fan base thing kind of plays in both states. So that could be, I think it'd be fun. I'd enjoy it.
I think Matt Rule's going to have that program rolling. So I don't know if I want to play Nebraska.
Yeah. You might be right. Well, and if they were going to do that, I would just hope that this went into effect immediately and they did it next year. That way, Andrew's boy could still be QB over there.
Raiola.
Oh, I forgot about that guy. No, that would be cool. I'd be for it. But then at the same time, does that limit you to where you can't schedule any other teams in other conferences, like ever? You can't play Big 12 teams. You can't play an ACC team. You can't, whatever the other thing that they're doing, whatever it's called.
I don't know. And then maybe you could, but God, I wouldn't advise it at that point. Like I would be playing Arkansas Tech or something, bro.
I really do think I don't want to say it's only a matter of time because I think it's going to take a lot of time. I don't think we're that far away from like 2 or 3 of these conferences. You talk about an alliance, just forming their own league and just saying F the NCAA altogether. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just hey, we got these 18 teams or 20 teams or whatever, and we're just gonna roll with it. Hell, I guess you really only would need 2 conferences because the Big Ten has whatever, like 14 teams in it. SEC has 16. That's 30 right there. That's a league.
Yep, it's true.
That's a sports organization right there.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of what that would even look like in the hands of, like, would it be home and homes? Would it be rotating? There's just a lot of elements. Would they call it the SEC Big 10 Challenge? Like would it be its own little thing like that? I don't know, but of course, another team too. Can't forget the Fighting Barry Odoms, our guy, Coach Odom in Purdue. That could happen as well.
Hopefully, he's not there that long.
I don't know. There's a lot. I wouldn't thought that Lane Kiffin would be at Ole Miss this long, and here we are. So it's just
Could you imagine? Like I was thinking about Burt versus Sam, and then that would be kind of spicy for other reasons. But could you imagine, if Barry Odom and Purdue came to Razorback Stadium and beat Arkansas?
I can't
with
imagine
Malachi
that.
Singleton at quarterback. Did he wind up going there? Or did he go to App State? Where'd Malachi go?
I think he's at Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I don't even want to put it into existence if that was the case. But whoever it is, Arkansas is going to get it scheduled, and everyone's going to be excited because, like, oh yeah, that should actually be a pretty winnable game. But by the time the game actually comes around, that team is going to be the best in the Big Ten. Like they'll end up being like, hey, you're gonna get to have a chance to play Wisconsin. It's like, oh well, they're not really that great right now, whatever. And then by the time they play them, they're competing for a national championship. It's just going to happen. Also, forget that Washington is another team too. It could end up being. Can't forget the Huskies.
Yeah.
All this crazy conference realignment stuff has been wild. So, but yeah, that's in the works. One of the things going on for SEC Media Days. Also a lot of respect for Bill Self because it's coming out for another report here that Big 12 coaches are in favor of expanding the NCAA tournament.
Nah. It's 64 teams.
68.
Yeah, 68. Like that's enough. You know what I mean? Hell, there's teams every year that make the tournament that shouldn't make the tournament. Like North Carolina, we did not need them in the tournament. I don't know.
There was a lot of mid in the NCAA tournament this year. And and there were real questions going into hindsight, we feel great because they damn near got to the Elite Eight, but Like, it was a legitimate question in some people's mind, like if Arkansas should have even gotten in.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? And so I to expand that, and I like and people have different thoughts on it. It's like, oh, 72 or 76. And some people are like, oh no, they're gonna go to 96 or what. I mean, I don't know, man. Like you put a team in that was what was North Carolina, like 1-13 in quad one games or something, and they got in the freaking field. So would you just put all 16 SEC teams in every year? You know what I mean? It's just God, please don't do that.
The thing that everyone always pushes back against with college football, because they don't want to expand college football, they didn't even want to expand it from 2 to 4. A thing that people always say is you don't want the regular season to not matter. If you expand to whatever it would be in basketball, I think the regular season, it already really doesn't matter that much. It really wouldn't matter then. I mean, if a team can go under 500 in their conference and easily make it in, you start expanding, all of a sudden you're letting teams that have won 5 conference games make the tournament. I don't know, man. That's crazy.
Well, and I look at it too, where I don't know Bill Self, but it would not surprise me at all if he's like wanting this to happen and he knows it's going to take some time to get fully in there. And then once it gets fully in there, he's going to be like, all right, well, I'm stepping away. I'm retiring. So I don't even have to deal with any of this. He's like, I'm out. It's almost like dropping a bomb to cause some chaos and some ruin, and then you're not a part of it. You get to walk away. But yeah, I think it's a dumb idea. I think everybody should agree it's a dumb idea. I just don't understand what truly is the benefit, other than just more TV time. But who's going to be the most pissed off about this, guys, if it ended up expanding? Field of 68.
Yeah.
Field of 120, whatever.
Yeah, they're going to have to change their brand, man.
We can tell you guys firsthand how difficult it is to have to rebrand. It's almost like starting over.
Yep, pretty much. And everyone's going to be like, Field of 128. Who are these clowns? Like, we don't know. We don't know these people. So, but again, it's not saying it'll happen. It's just a possibility that it didn't end up happening. So, let's see a few other of your chats too, folks. If you want in on the conversation, I know we'll have some other headlines too before we roll out of here today. But I like this from Hickory Hawk too. He said, Adou is not going to say a word. He'll just show up in OKC with Cal in his pregame sweats. Then at halftime, Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny interview him to find out if he's coming back to Fayetteville. Sure, let's do that. That'd be fun. Yeah. I don't know if they care that much about it, but it would be pretty cool. What am I thinking of, guys, of a Razorback player that did an interview with somebody like of that? Was it, who am I thinking of that decided to go to, wasn't there someone that decided to go to Arkansas that was talking, not to Kenny and Shaq and all them, but like that big of a deal? Or am I just losing my mind on that?
Well, like AB did the thing at the McDonald's All-American game. A lot of guys have gone on ESPN to announce that they're going into the draft. Like, I think AB did that as well, and he might not have been the only one. There's been some of that.
I'm trying to think. I don't know why I'm just like in my mind thinking that or maybe he didn't end up committing. He committed somewhere else, but Arkansas fans were interested in him because he did it on the NBA on TNT. I don't know. Again, I could just be making things up completely. So just kind of one of those deja vu things.
Y'all remember the guy? I can't remember. I think it might have been Landon Collins. Yeah, remember the guy that announced he was going somewhere and then his mom like disagreed with the decision?
Yes.
Like live on TV was like, I just think LSU's a better school. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, between that and Alex Collins, rest in peace, his mom taking his NIL papers and literally driving away. Yeah. Crazy things that ended up happening there. Other chats too. I like this from Dead Horse LA. But he said, I haven't seen the baseball team since they were in my neck of the woods last 2018 at Louisiana Tech. Apparently that's the Andrew Ellis neck of the woods too. But Hog fans absolutely took the love Shaq over. Never seen so many sour faces from Tech fans. So
I'm wondering, where were you at in 2021? Whenever, because that was the real fun one. In 2018, they did like a midweek series, and I think they split it. Or it might have been 2017 even. But then 2021 was like when they did the weekend series there, which was like awesome.
Yeah,
that was a good one. That was the Battles Deep. What was the call on that one? I don't even know if there was a call. It was on like CST.
Yeah, I just remember he hit the dormitory or whatever it was, or the apartments. Like it was an absolute moonshot. I want to give a shout out to this guy, Robert Hurts. He was the guy I was telling you about. He said, I really enjoyed a couple of softball games with John. I can only imagine what it would be like to watch baseball regional with y'all. Good times for sure. It depends on the moment. Depends on because here's the thing is I feel like me personally, I can be a fun time to watch a game, but in certain circumstances, I don't say nothing. I don't do nothing. I get into my own little world. So, but yeah, it was good talking with you, Robert.
Yeah, at this point in the year, we're not a fun hang during the baseball games. But like, yeah, in mid-March, we're fun.
Yeah, we get a lot more fun with it. Kevin also says, baseball question: does the start of the Ole Miss game give any concern for Root when it comes to if he will start game 2, and does that affect his days off for game 1 in the Super Regional?
No, he threw like 75 pitches on Friday. So like a lightened workload, and he's got a full 7 days of rest. And so if he was starting game 2, he'd actually get an extra day of rest. We'll see what they do. Obviously we don't know who they're going to start, but the Ole Miss game will definitely not be a factor in the decision making.
Yeah, I wouldn't think, but people, you got to do these mind games, man. Of like, oh, how much? What can you do here or here? Can you do it this way? Like, there's just a lot of circumstances that people have to look at to try to make sure the pitching's as good as it can be.
Weirdly enough, I'm on the other side of the coin where I'm like, Gage Wood hasn't thrown in a game in 2 weeks. I'm a little bit worried about that.
Yeah,
like I kind of would have wanted to see him throw in Hoover.
Yeah, true. What is it? Rest versus rust? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure that phrase will not be uttered at all this weekend in the regionals. So, but I know we're all looking forward to it. Again, we'll be at Foghorns right next to Bomb before Inside Arkansas Live on Friday, and then all the bombastic post game shows will be held at Foghorns across from Bomb. So if you're going out to the game, then come hang out with us too. Speaking of, I actually saw and took this video and put it up, but tents are already lining up at Bomb for the regional. So it is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. I think I counted, let's see, 16 tents. So cool. Good on you. There's that. And also, too, I meant to bring this up when we were talking about football. I forgot. But did you guys see that when I say everybody, a lot of people were falling for that report about the SEC leaving college sports yesterday because one of these troll Twitter accounts said the SEC plans to leave the NCAA, and John Kruk fell for it on TV and on the national broadcast. I had people texting me about like, oh man, it's about time this happened. I'm like, dude, look at the handle. Look at the person's handle. It's just, I thought we were getting to the point where we're done with that stuff of falling for those stories. I don't think it'll ever happen.
No, now on Twitter, now that you can have fake blue checks, dude, we are just now entering that era of getting duped on the internet.
Man, you just got to check, triple check, double check, all of that. But I saw somebody did an entire podcast live stream breaking news thing about that yesterday. Like somebody not saying it's like a very well-known SEC person, but somebody of note. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, dude, please tell me you're not serious. Please tell me this is a joke. Please tell me you're not doing it. Nope. He was doing it. All right. He was making it happen. So keep your head on a swivel, folks. Keep your head on a swivel for that. Let's see. Also, some other chats. Yeah, people are asking if we've talked about certain things. We have. Just scroll back and check it out. And also, I try to do this for every show. Whatever our biggest topic of conversation that we have here in Inside Arkansas Live, try to cut it and edit it and make it into its own video after the fact. So if you don't want to scroll back however long you want to do, just be on the lookout because it'll probably be a redistributed video here soon on YouTube. So just check it out there too.
Curtis is also going to do a 45-minute breakdown on Mary Brown's skill set as a point guard. So be on the lookout for
you. It's been out since 6 a.m.
Let's see. Also, because I have that one. Oh yeah. This one, I just want to bring it up because Finch was talking about heavy hitters. He goes, actually, my real heavy hitter was when me and my buddy got our limit of trout with nothing but 20-inch plus fish Saturday. Was a good time. I trust you. I don't know what any of that means, but I trust you.
Sounds like they caught long fish.
Yep.
You have the limits of like you can only catch a certain amount or whatever, and so it's kind of a lot of times. I know a lot of pro fishermen they won't bring in the ones if they can see it's small. They won't even bring it in because they're like, oh, I don't want to waste my limit on a small one. But it seems like they had a bunch of big ones. Good for them.
Yeah. Hey, whatever it takes. Orkenstein says NCAA is trying to make Arkansas and Kansas rivals. Are they?
Are they?
I don't think they are. I think it's just by happenstance.
Yeah, we just find them in the postseason every year, but Kansas would have to occasionally win for it to be a rivalry. It's kind of like Arkansas and Missouri.
Sadly.
Yeah. Well, in this particular instance, it's like with baseball regionals, there's only so many teams. Like there really weren't that many options for Arkansas to have a 2 seed. You know, like it was like either pretty much Denver, TCU.
And we don't want that.
Exactly. I definitely don't want to be rivals with TCU in the postseason.
Yeah. No, I'm sick of that stuff. Also, this was more local for everything, but did you guys see Terry Bradshaw and what he said about Aaron Rodgers and the fact that it went national? And it was funny because he said it on 103.7 The Buzz yesterday
I did not
morning.
see this. Terry Bradshaw and Aaron Rodgers?
Dude, he went off on Aaron Rodgers, and off is in, it's not like anything. Oh my gosh, couldn't believe he said it. But it was funny where people on ESPN and SportsCenter are all talking about it, where he said, let me read the quote. He said, when they were talking about Aaron Rodgers possibly going to Pittsburgh, or like there's connection there. And he just says, quote, "That's a joke. That is, to me, just a joke. What are you going to do? Bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay out in California. Go somewhere and chew on some bark and whisper to the gods out there."
Damn.
That actually is pretty electric.
Chew on some bark, bro.
Yeah.
I was prepared to make fun of Terry Bradshaw no matter what he said, but that was actually pretty funny.
That's good.
I was laughing about it too because I get the notification on my phone, and it's just like Terry Bradshaw, blah, 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 via 103.7 The Buzz. I'm like, excuse me? Like, this is the story coming out because of that. And it was like, oh, well, there. Yeah, now it makes sense. So anyways, I like Terry Bradshaw as a Louisiana native. You're not a Terry Bradshaw guy, Andrew?
As a Louisiana Tech grad, no. I mean, I like him fine. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a damn good football player. Was an awesome player. Has absolute doo-doo for brains though.
I feel like him and also Karl Malone gets hated on a lot from the Louisiana folks. Like a lot of people apparently do not like Karl Malone.
Well, Karl Malone did some bad things.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that. I haven't had a personal everybody I know who has met Karl Malone doesn't like him, but I don't have any reason to dislike him. I actually have a Karl Malone jersey in my closet that I do not wear for the reasons of things he did. I bought it before I knew that he did bad things.
Was it a Jazz jersey or like a Laker jersey?
The Jazz jersey, dude, because I love those Jazz uniforms with the mountains, on the front. And so as soon as I decided I was going to go to Louisiana Tech, I was like, let me get that Karl Malone jersey.
Yeah. I remember my formative years when it was Jordan and the Bulls and the Jazz were a thing on the other end, and would go on fishing trips like with the cousins and everything. And I had one cousin that was just the biggest Utah Jazz stan in the world. And I hated him. I still hate him today for doing that because I was a young, impressionable young man. I'm like, Michael Jordan, like, what are you talking about, dude? Carl who? What are we doing here?
Y'all know that Dave Chappelle skit? I forgot the guy's name, but it's like the blind KKK member.
I know what you're talking about.
Malone. That is Karl Malone's exact personality.
Jeez. Yes, I do remember that. But no, yeah, to your point too, Curtis, I was the same way. I hated like John Stockton and Karl Malone, like with a passion, just for no reason other than they were just in the way of the Bulls. I hated the glove, Gary Payton with the Sonics, because I'm like, no, and Sean Kemp, you're not as good.
I love Gary Payton. I did a book report on Gary Payton.
My dad was trying to push the Sean Kemp agenda on me heavily because he was such a good dunker.
That's a good agenda to push, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't mind the Supersonics as much as some of the others. You guys remember when the Grizzlies were Vancouver?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Because there 3 NBA teams in Canada or just those 2 with Vancouver and Toronto? I guess there's only 2.
Did Vancouver and Toronto overlap that much?
Yeah, for a bit. I mean, not a whole long time, but yeah, for a bit. Because I'm thinking of baseball because I know baseball had Toronto, Montreal, and I thought Vancouver maybe. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Canada can do whatever they want to do, but still. Yeah, like that. JP Sullivan said, dude, I did a book report on the glove too, Andrew. That's crazy.
I bet it was a similar context because you know what they did they sent us to the library and were like, find a book in here and give us a report on it. And I found a Gary Payton biography and I was like, it was like 80 pages. I was like, hell yeah, let's do this one. I bet it was pretty similar context for our guy JP.
Yeah, for the glove. Yeah, well, that's all I got. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Yes. If Adou Thiero announces he's returning to Arkansas, we will be going live immediately for the Pod the Palace. If he announces he's staying in the draft, we ain't going live. I'll catch you in the AM to talk about it. I just want to set that expectation right away. Other than that, no, I'm good. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us and tuning in.
All the comments would just be like, "See, Curtis, told you he was going to be in a draft, Curtis. I told you, man. I told you he's projected second round, man. I told you." Yeah, no, I don't have any thoughts either. I'm gonna have Daniel Shee on the pod later. Bombastic. If y'all remember, Daniel Shee predicted Arkansas's demise last year in the regional, and I was mad at him for it. But as always, I eventually have to admit that Daniel Shee is correct. Let's hope he has better news for us later today.
Well, there you have it. And I don't really have any final thoughts other than just the things you guys said. But yeah, be sure to tap in with us here at Inside Arkansas. I'm excited about the weekend, the regional weekend. We're going to be there. We're going to have some fun with it too. My guy, big content guy, might be coming in. We might be hanging out. So I don't really know what to expect there, but that's okay. We love him. He's the greatest. So either way, it's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a fun week. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, hanging out with us. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas. You can also check out our podcast in the audio form wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. We'll also be having some time at Foghorns. Want to remember that for all the Bombastic coverage this weekend as well. You can check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, and check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.